Hi, everybody. This is a wooden leg coming at you from Irrational Radio here with Table 13. Got Mystery over here, Shady Ankle Bottoms over here, and tonight we are going back into Tasha's Cauldron. Just diving right in that enormous cauldron that's got apparently everything in it. We are
There's even
picking.
cauldrons in there.
There is. It is a set that
Cauldrons of
contains
everything.
itself. Yes. It's you just keep jumping into cauldrons and you can tunnel all the way through the universe. It's amazing. But we're not doing that today. Today we're only going into one cauldron and we're looking at the back half of the Artificer where these guys left off last time. Specifically Artificer Infusions, which is a cool part of the Artificer class, which is the new class in Tasha's Cauldron. And let me read the paragraph here. You can find it on page 20 of Tasha's Cauldron. Artificer infusions are extraordinary processes that rapidly turn a non-magical object into a magical item. The description of each of the following infusions details the type of object that can receive it, along with whether the resulting magic item requires attunement. Some infusions specify a minimum artificer level. You can't learn such an infusion until you're at least to that level. Unless an infusion's description says otherwise, you can't learn an infusion more than once. So that's pretty cool. They are basically, I don't know, like spells that turn mundane objects into magical items. The Artificer class is all about using as many magical items as possible. So this will allow you to use those class abilities even if your DM is stodgy like me and doesn't hand out magic items that often.
And I think it's like you're able to kind of tailor your gear. You can get specifically the magical enhancements that you're looking for a little bit more easily than depending on however your DM goes about that stuff. But yeah, it's you get to pick yourself, and then it's sort of like the Forge Cleric, where it's a function of your class that you're doing some of this stuff too, where you're not as reliant on if your DM isn't super ready with those big loot
magic
items or whatever.
Yeah.
But it's also a cool way to kind of customize, I guess, a bit too. It's a bunch of different options,
right?
So you can stretch your narrative concept a lot with them too.
And when do you get... Okay, so you get infuse item at second level, but you only get a limited amount of infusions at first. You
get 4 of them at second level.
Okay.
And then they go up with your level.
Gotcha.
So it's really neat because you can do a lot of, not only just making magic items, but for instance, I play one of these.
Oh God.
What game do I play?
I don't know. It's not one of my games. That's for sure.
Oh, it was in the Orphans of the Apocalypse.
Ah.
I play one of these, or I played one of these. And two of the infusions I used on magic items, and I had at second level had a bag of holding. But then some of them also work as like enhancements on your gear.
Right.
And so he had a pistol where he basically didn't have to have ammunition because it was hard to come by ammunition. So basically it shot magic. And you can kind of switch between them at your long rest and sort of gear yourself for what you're going into. So it's not always the same. I think at second level you can have 2 of them active at once out of the 4 that you know.
Okay. That's pretty powerful. That's pretty powerful even for a dip. If you dip 2 levels into Artificer and then go Fighter, that'll allow you to take some of the infusions that are more like combat oriented and make your Fighter a little bit better, especially with the other things that you get as Artificer.
Right, yeah. If you go to 3 and get one of these specialties or specialists or whatever, you get your archetypes. There's you can turn any of the other standard classes into a really interesting different version.
Like an armored wizard or something like that. That'd be really cool. So these are presented in the book in alphabetical order, and I think that is probably the best order that we can go through them, because we don't know when they were written, so we can't go chronological. And I don't really want to.
You could go by like the length of the name, right?
That's true. We could also do that. We could also do like alphabetical by end of the name of these. That's also a possibility.
That's pretty good. Yeah.
But I think that since they've helpfully put this in alphabetical order, we should go through them in alphabetical order. So
I wish they would have done it by level, honestly.
Right? Yeah. That's
like
honestly
level then alphabetical.
Yeah, that's
or alphabetical as within levels or something like that. Like no level requirements first, and then but whatever.
So the first one is Arcane Propulsion Armor. You gotta be a 14th level artificer to use it, and you need a suit of armor, and it requires attunement. And this is nuts! The wearer of the armor gains these benefits. The wearer's walking speed increases by 5 feet. The armor includes gauntlets, each of which is a magic melee weapon that can be wielded only when the hand is holding nothing. The wearer is proficient with the gauntlets, and each one deals 1d8 force damage on a hit, and has the thrown property, with a normal range of 20 feet and a long range of 60 feet. When thrown, the gauntlet detaches and flies at the attack's target, then immediately returns to the wearer and reattaches. The armor can't be removed against the wearer's will, and if the wearer is missing any limbs, the armor replaces those limbs: hands, arms, feet, legs, or similar appendages. The replacement functions identically to the body parts they replace. That is crazy. That is pretty cool for a class feature.
Yeah, it's basically the it's like a third version of the armor model thing that you get at 3rd level for armor. It's kind of cool, and that would layer on top of those potentially, it seems like. I think
or use in lieu of it, if you want to have something similar to that, but don't want to base your whole character off of it.
Right. And that's I think it's cool that it's just one more way that you can kind of modularly build these a variety of different concepts with the artificer class. I mean, it's 14 levels in to get there, so that's a pretty serious commitment. By that point, you've found your way far through the campaign already, probably. But yeah, I think that's cool. It's a lot like that. The armor specialist thing, and you can grab that with like the steel defender one or whatever it's called, the battlesmith or something, and then be just like shredding stuff.
Rockin'.
The next one.
So the next one. Oh.
Yeah, go ahead.
Who's doing it? I'll do it.
You are doing it.
Armor of magical strength. This one just requires a suit of armor. So this one doesn't have that huge level requirement on it. The armor has 6 charges, and the wearer can expend an armor's charge in the following ways. When the wearer makes a strength check or a strength saving throw, it can expend 1 charge to add a bonus to the roll equal to his intelligence modifier. And if the creature would be knocked prone, it can use its reaction to spend 1 charge to avoid being knocked prone. The armor regains 1d6 expended charges daily at dawn. That's kind of neat. It's a neat little thing.
Yeah.
Which is cool because it can stack with advantage. So if you have like a spell or something that would give you advantage on strength, you also get the bonus to your roll equal to your intelligence modifier.
Both
even more of a strong boy.
Yep. That's really cool. And the fact that you can
thing is silly, but I mean,
it's something. I mean, it's not like super useful or whatever, but you may get that as often as you get the ability to help yourself on your strength checks, honestly. So, and if you're not great at dex checks either, then that could be a pretty useful thing, or whatever it is, that you're trying to make to avoid that. But because you could do both, I guess, like if you were making a strength save to avoid being pushed prone or knocked prone or something, and then you failed, you could just spend another charge.
Boink! Yeah, exactly.
Not worry about it or something, but
absolutely. And like a lot of layer actions.
Called the armor of not getting knocked over.
Right? Yeah, that's really what it's all about.
The clown thingies.
Weevil wobbles.
Weevil's wobbling armor.
Yeah, Weevil's wobbling armor. Perfect. All right, you want to do the next one then, Mr. He?
Sure. Next is Boots of the Winding Path, which is a 6th level requirement and requires a pair of boots. Like the other 2 we've read, it also requires attunement. While wearing these boots, a creature can teleport up to 15 feet as a bonus action to an unoccupied space the creature can see. The creature must have occupied that space at some point during the current turn.
Yeah.
That's weird.
That's cool.
You're Tracer from Overwatch. You're basically Tracer.
Like, rewind. That's interesting. I think you could like run up, smack somebody, and then pop away.
Pop away as a bonus action. Yep.
That's weird. I don't think I'd use that very often.
Yeah, that's an interesting
kind of ability.
Yeah, you could also jump off of something and attack and then pop back. You know, like as a bonus action, I return myself to the top of this ledge. Oh, that didn't work, guys. That sucked. I didn't like
That's
that.
actually super cool. I didn't think about it in an out of combat context.
That's where
you like go to jump over that pit like we did in
for gold.
Yeah. And you fail and you're like, oh nope, just kidding.
Rewind.
Yep.
It's some Prince of Persia shit.
It is
really.
that.
Yeah. Yep.
That's what's up.
So that's kind of neat. I like that.
It's a fun one.
So the next one is Enhanced Arcane Focus. This one doesn't have any level requirements. It just needs an item, a rod, a staff, or a wand. While holding this item, a creature gains +1 bonus to spell attack rolls. In addition, the creature ignores half cover when making a spell attack. The bonus increases to +2 when you reach 10th level in this class. Pretty good.
They have a whole slew of these that are just like make a +1 weapon or armor or whatever.
Pretty much. And the best part is it doesn't take a level requirement. And so you can have just your level 2 artificer be like, hey, wizard, here, take this fucking thing so that you can cast Firebolt a little bit better. Because if you can have 2, you can both have an arcane focus, you and one of your party members. Because nothing says that you're the one that has to use these items. You can.
Yeah, I don't think so, but I don't, or at least I don't think you have to.
Yeah, check that. Not sure,
but
I mean that's going to be a dig that's going to take long enough to.
Right.
No, it was pretty quick here. It doesn't say anything specifically that that it's not yours. I don't think. At least the way
well, it requires attunement, right? So like that's the thing.
But I mean, they could just require the item gains the requirement that you have to attune to it to benefit from it or whatever.
And every class can attune to things.
Yeah, they just would.
So you'd have to make it during a long rest and then hand it to somebody else. They would have to attune.
Yeah.
To it.
Yep.
Right. And I think that's the other thing. It's like these are all, or a lot of these here do require the attunement until you picked up the like additional slots that you get as you level. It is kind of a you only get 2, and that goes for all of your magical items, so it's a pretty short list until you start adding the slots for the higher level artificer stuff too, which is interesting, I guess.
All right,
now that being said, this next one does not require attunement.
Yeah.
Enhanced defense. A creature gains +1 bonus to armor class. Oh, it does require a suit of armor or a shield.
Yes.
A creature gains +1 armor to +1 bonus to armor class while wearing armor or wielding shield in the infused item. The infused item. The bonus increases to +2 when you reach 10th level in this class. And so it's kind of neat. That's one of those just like. Boof, it's a little better.
All right.
Here's a little touch of magic for you.
So I got a question. Can you so if you have 2 of these they called infusions. And you put one on a piece of armor and one on a shield, can you use both of those, attune to 2 magical items, and get basically a +2 on your AC?
Well, you don't have to attune to either.
This one doesn't.
Oh, yeah, that's right. So, yeah, you don't have to attune to either.
But I would think so,
You can't learn these. You can't learn one more than once, right?
Oh, that's right. Yes.
Unless it specifically says.
No, you
Or is
you
that not?
learn 4, and then you can use your long rest to create the infusions, and you could create the same infusion several times. You
Okay.
just can't stack them on top of the same item.
Sure.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you could make Boots of Winding Path for your whole party if you wanted to.
Right.
And they could all attune to them, and then you could all run around Prince of Persiaing off.
It's hilarious. Okay. Interesting. All right. So yeah, that's enhanced defense. That's pretty cool. You could,
if you stack that with Forge Cleric, that's how you break the armor class.
That is how you break the armor class. Hi, I'm level 5 with a 22 AC.
24 actually.
Oh,
You can get there anyway. But the enhanced weapon is the next one. It requires a simple or martial weapon. This magic weapon deals a +1 to bonus attacks, or a +1 bonus to attacks. There we go, and damage rolls made with it. And then it's still +2 when you reach level 10. It's another pretty simple, basic one. It's like, hey, if they have limited number of +1 weapons going around, or you want to put it on your cannon or whatever, here you go, kind of thing. Which is, I think that's kind of nice. They give you the ability to, if you have one that you like, it's a special pretty one or something. That's I think with the enhanced defense and all the infusion stuff, that's like the cool part about it. It's like you can pick anything and make it your special gear now, rather than having to go with what you come across or whatever.
Exactly. Yeah. You turn mundane stuff into special stuff worth holding on, especially if your DM is stingy with things. You just make your own importance at that point. So yeah, that's really cool. I like that. Those things that give mechanical benefit, but not enough to really break the game, unless of course they're used irresponsibly. All right, so that was Mr. E. Is it
+1 weapons early on, +1 to armor and stuff early on is really strong, actually. I think anyway.
Especially, it doesn't take any level restrictions. Yeah, nothing like that.
I wouldn't be handing out +1 weapons until 5 or 6 at least. Yeah, and I've got a game where they're level 10 and they don't have real +1 weapons yet. So it's, I don't know. That's scary to me, but it's also, that's the thing. It's a cool class because anybody can grab that real quick, essentially.
Yep.
Right.
I think it's your turn now, Shady.
Yeah. Sure. Helm of Awareness. You have to be 10th level Artificer to learn it, and it requires a helmet and requires attunement. While wearing this helmet, a creature has advantage on initiative rolls. In addition, the wearer can't be surprised, provided it isn't incapacitated.
There you go. You got there.
Don't worry about me. Which is neat. It's cool because it's like a rogue defense, sort of. Like you makes it to where you can't be assassinated by an assassinate.
Yep.
And also, if you are an assassin or whatever, it's going to make you way more likely to be able to get around in that first round or whatever, and surprise people and stuff. Which is pretty, that's kind of cool.
I mean, overall, I feel like it's pretty weak though. 10th level. I mean,
I was gonna say 10th level. That's weak. pretty weak, especially seeing as how you get +1 AC without any level cap. That just seems that kind of goes against a lot of the stuff I learned as a DM in 5e in terms of magic weapons and stuff.
Advantage on initiative rolls is really good, but it just is, for level 10 that just doesn't matter. Because you won't be able to multi-class easy into that super well, right? So I suppose.
All right, so the next one's pretty cool. I like this one a lot. I think we're gonna spend a little bit of time talking about it. Homunculus Servant. You need a gem or crystal worth at least 100 gold pieces, but you don't need any levels. You learn intricate methods for magically creating a special homunculus that serves you. I'm pretty sure it's homunculi. But, oh no, that's plural. That's right. Homunculus that serves you. The item you infuse serves as the creature's heart, around which the creature's body instantly forms. You determine the homunculus's appearance. Some artificers prefer mechanical-looking birds, whereas some like winged vials or miniature and animate cauldrons. I don't know about the animate cauldron thing. That's kind of weird.
Sounds bad.
It's like a little pug.
I like the little smiling one though. It's funny. They've got a picture of it on the page.
That is,
he looks kind of nice.
That is kind of cute.
He's cute.
Is that a sentient coffee maker though? That is a sentient coffee maker. Why would you provide sentience to a coffee maker?
Do you feel like there is not enough Beauty and the Beast in your D&D?
Exactly.
Well.
So the description continues. The homunculus is friendly to you and your companions, and it obeys your commands. See this creature's game statistics in the Homunculus Servant stat block, which they provide above, which uses your proficiency bonus in several places. In combat, the homunculus shares your initiative count, but it takes its turn immediately after yours. It can move and use its reaction on its own, but it can only take the only action it can take on its turn is the dodge action, unless you take a bonus action on your turn to command it to take another action. That action can be one in its stat block or some other action. If you're incapacitated, the homunculus can take any action of its choice, not just dodge. The homunculus regains 2d6 hit points if the mending spell is cast on it. If you or the homunculus dies, it vanishes, leaving its heart in its space. Pretty cool. Pretty cool.
So I want to make an artificer and just all of my fusions go to my
just have a bunch of these little guys.
Like, I just want to
like find familiar and stuff too. Like, find a way to get at. Yeah.
Oh my god.
My problem is though, you can only get one of them to attack.
Right.
Sure, but like out of combat.
Well, right. You just. You would just have it'd be the straight up, like the whole cast of Beauty and the Beast,
exactly,
following you around everywhere.
I'm running around, barking at people.
Oh my god!
And they can all ride on the disc, on Tensor disc.
All right. New build idea, guys. You go 3 levels into Artificer, and then you go 3 levels into Ranger, and you pick Swarmkeeper Ranger, and you just make a junk character where you just have a bunch of fucking little things following you around everywhere. It's just like, yeah,
silverware.
Yeah, it's like, oh, what's your swarm? Oh, pennies. I'm a penny Swarmkeeper. I got these like walking chests that I've brought to life that carry all my pennies.
Tiny porcelain fucking clown.
Yeah, exactly. Oh god, that's terrifying. Yeah, no. Because all it has to be is a small creature. It doesn't say it has to be an animal per se in the Swarmkeeper, just tiny creature.
Coffee maker, bong, and heated blanket. Legit.
It's great. All right, so the things you can do, I think that the big thing that they don't really put down, but you can channel magic as a reaction using the homunculi. So the homunculus delivers a spell you cast that has a range of touch. So that's really cool. You can cast touch spells through your homunculus. So you can send him into places or against things that you don't really want to get up into his grill, especially with a few of the different kinds of artificer classes, or the subclasses. Because if you're like one of the artillerists, you're not going to want to get up in something's grill, but you're going to have some spells that may have a touch action. So you can just send your little... I want to make just a sentient gun with wings. And that's going to be my homunculus. And it delivers all its touch spells as just point blank fire. Yeah, just... Bang! So
just like shoot out.
It's even got
like
extendo,
party poppers, like that you twist and then they shoot out like confetti or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. It even's got Force Strike. The spell, it's a ranged spell attack. It's great. Yeah, it's perfect. But yeah, so I think this is really a really cool artificer thing that's just in this. I think this is the coolest infusion in my opinion because you can do a whole lot to it.
It was one of the very classic transmuting magician things that is like at the core of the concept of the class. This is one of the features that I think has been around since the first iteration started bouncing around Unearthed Arcana, I think. I'm not sure it looked exactly the same, but the ability to create one of these to animate an inanimate object to serve as your familiar essentially has been something that's been in it, and I like that. I think it's cool that they give you the Sorcerer's Apprentice kind of vibe or whatever. It's good stuff.
Yep. So yeah, that's pretty cool.
It's a current one.
All right, moving on.
Next we have Mind Sharpener, which sounds super insidious.
Yeah, I don't like that.
It requires a suit of armor or robes.
A
suit of robes.
A suit of robes.
The infused item can send a jolt to the wearer to refocus their mind. That seems like that would not work that way. The item has 4 charges. When the wearer fails a Constitution saving throw, to maintain concentration on a spell, the wearer uses its reaction to expend one of the item's charges to succeed instead. And you get 1d4 charges at daily at dawn.
Wow.
And so yeah, it's okay. It's a weird way to describe that. I feel like that's a strange, but it's with magic. There's not,
right?
Going into sci-fi stuff.
That's kind of cool. I mean, that's
a magic shock collar,
basically. Yeah. Just like, no, why? Don't pay attention to that magic missile crashing into your chest. You're paying attention to this spell. Yeah, yes, wizard blinders. Oh man, that's actually pretty cool. Yeah, I like that actually.
It's a neat concept. It's a neat way to do it. Instead of giving you advantage on them like you'd normally see in that kind of stuff, you just get like the automatic succeed by using one of the things. Which is nice because a lot of times you get hit and you lose concentration, and it kind of turns the tide of battle. So it'd be good to have some sort of contingency for that
backup.
And it's something that you expend the charge and you succeed too. Like you were saying that, but like you're not gonna worry about
wasting that.
Exactly. Like you're never gonna do that and then still lose the concentration on the spell. So I think thematically it's a little cooler than or I guess that has a thematic impact as well as the mechanical one, where it's just like, okay, like this spell keeps working kind of thing. So that's fun.
Next one is Radiant Weapon.
Yeah.
It requires a 6th level Artificer to use it or to learn it. And it requires a simpler martial weapon and attunement to that weapon. The magic weapon grants a +1 bonus to attack and damage rolls made with it. While holding it, the wielder can take a bonus action, cause it to shed bright light in a 30-foot radius and dim light for an additional 30 feet. The wielder can extinguish the light as a bonus action. The weapon has 4 charges. As a reaction, immediately after being hit by an attack, the wielder can expend 1 charge and cause the attacker to be blinded until the end of the attacker's next turn, unless the attacker succeeds on a Constitution saving throw against your spell save DC. The weapon regains 1d4 expended charges daily at dawn. So that's also kind of neat.
Yeah.
You think Radiant Weapon, you're like, oh, you make Paladin Artificer, and it's really not that. It's a +1 weapon that works like a torch and gives you some sort of like,
you can blind them with
reason to not be attacked.
And I think that's, like if you were to layer that with a Paladin though, that's like also a really nice thing to stack on top of a smite. Really cool. And it like, mechanically and thematically, that's going to be like a really sweet addition. So I think it's one more example of this being like a very flexible class, and you can very easily blend a couple levels or half a class or take a couple levels of any other class with Artificer.
Absolutely.
It's really
Absolutely. All right, so the next one is a repeating shot. All you need is a simple or martial weapon with ammunition property. It also requires attunement. This magic weapon grants +1 bonus to attack and damage rolls made with it when it's used to make an ranged attack, and it ignores the loading property if it has it, which it has to. So I don't know why they say if it has it, because it says
with the ammunition property, not with the loading.
Oh, okay. Sorry, yeah. Ignores the loading property if it has it.
Like a crossbow or whatever.
Right.
I assume wouldn't qualify for.
Right.
No, it would. The crossbow would qualify.
Have the loading property. A short bow wouldn't have the loading property.
I'm not sure characteristics and stuff there.
So and then
stuff wouldn't, but crossbows and guns would have the loading property.
The second paragraph is, if you load no ammunition in the weapon, it produces its own, automatically creating one piece of magic ammunition when you make a ranged attack with it. The ammunition created by the weapon vanishes the instant after it hits the or misses a target. So that's pretty cool. That's really cool.
One thing that's a little bit of a hidden gem with it, because this is the one that I was talking about where I need ammunition for my gun. It makes your attacks are magic. Because it makes magic ammunition. So it's just, that's like another thing that it mentions, but it kind of says it in a way that I don't think
could be
pick
missed
up on typically. So it makes it a +1. You no longer have to load it, which is really cool because that's like a big thing for like crossbows or like heavy crossbows and stuff, that you have to load it. You have to waste bonus action loading thing.
Right.
So you don't have to do that. Take crossbow expert basically.
Right. And then it also does magic damage. So if you're shooting like a ghost or something, it'll hurt it.
It's a cool one. That was the one you were talking about your guy having. And then like you were saying, thematically or narratively or whatever, if your DM's got you in a setting where ammunition's really hard to come by, that's going to go way further.
It also
because
looks
you won't
cool
have to
as hell.
Yeah.
Because now your gun has a little crystal in it that just shoots magic missiles instead of bullets.
Yeah. Yep. All right. Next one. Mystery, if you want to take it. This is a big one.
This is I'll get the gist of it started here, and we can work our way through the rest of it. We probably don't need to go through each individual item, but nonetheless. Replicate magic item. Using this infusion, you replicate a particular magic item. You can learn this infusion multiple times. Each time you do so, choose a magic item that you can make with it. Picking from the replicatable items tables. The table tells you the level you must be to create an item from the table. Alternatively, you can choose a magic item from among the common magic items in the game, not including potions or scrolls. That's an interesting caveat. In the tables, an items entry tells you whether the item requires an attunement. See the item's description, blah, blah, blah. And then, so it goes through and it'll kind of break things off at 2nd level, 6th level, 10th level, and 14th level. There's sort of a new list of items that are opened up. I guess, do we want to go through and read them all, or how do you guys want to?
Nah, we don't have to. No, I don't think reading them all is.
There's a buttload of them.
There's just a buttload. Yeah.
Alchemy jug. Get you some gallons of mayonnaise.
Gallons. Yep. 2nd level instant mayonnaise jug. Come on, guys.
It's important. People underappreciate how much having mayonnaise on demand.
I also like the cape of water breathing, goggles of night, and rope of climbing. I thought it said robe of climbing, and I was really excited because I can just imagine someone with the cape, goggles, and a robe, just like, I'm ready. Let's do this. But yeah, there's a lot of really cool magic items here that you're able to basically build as an artificer, which I think is a really neat mechanical thing they put in here. Has your DM not putting enough magic items into your campaign? Fuck them. Just build it yourself.
Yeah, I mean, and they don't have like a really present item creation system at all otherwise in the game. So it is about the only way you can get at rules as written item creation, honestly. I mean, there's some vague description of stuff about how to go about this stuff, but it's really not like actually, here's what you do, here's how it works, here's what you need to make this. And like, so I think that it's cool that there is an option to just like, okay, my character, it's a big part of the artificer thing too, is it's like generating magic items, creating stuff. That's why I think it's funny that they're like no scrolls,
right?
Because it's like, well, why not? If I want to pick a scroll, I guess maybe because spell levels, there's, I don't know. Anyway, but that so that's interesting to me that this is another part of the class, I guess, that survived from one of the earliest iterations. It's like one of those core
Right.
Kind of at the heart of the Artificer.
I like what they did with it, though. They mixed it with all these other infusions, and before, it was like you just at third level you did your first wondrous invention is what they called them.
Yeah.
Now you've got it to where like you can choose how many you really want, or if you want to even mess with making, you know, these you know, magic items from this list. Yeah, and then you can kind of, because you make them with your infusions, it's something where like you get to have X number of them, you know, at a time, and so you can like have your bag of holding, but then like you'd have to possibly sacrifice it to get your better armor and weapon later that you want to use for the big boss fight.
Yeah, I mean it's a lot of more support type items than like, you know, it's like there aren't like any +1 weapons or whatever, because that's I guess that stuff's mostly handled in other infusions.
Right?
Yeah, this is more the like, I suppose, yeah, so gloves of missile snaring and junk, like, you know, that give you the cloak of the bad's fucking badass too. Any of these goofy like fun items, I love that concept too. The character that can just pull, you know, any number of random objects out of this bag of tricks and suddenly just like, oh yeah, I actually have a thing for this, and like that's always a fun concept as a character for me too. It's just like, oh yeah, just dig around here and wand of featherfall, cool, we're not gonna die, like
yes. I knew I put one of these in here a few months ago. Yeah.
Remember when you guys said this was worthless? Remember?
Now we have all these Subway sandwiches and nothing to put on them.
Who's laughing now? Who's got the mayonnaise jug now? They called me crazy. All right. So, we moving on from making magical items. I believe it is Brett's turn to read.
Yes. Repulsion Shield.
Yes.
Which sounds like some kind of sci-fi BS. You have to be a 6th level artificer, and you require a shield. And it requires attunement. So the creature gets a +1 bonus to armor class while wielding the shield. The shield is 4 charges. While holding it, the wielder can use a reaction immediately after being hit by a melee attack to expend one of the shield's charges and push the attacker up to 15 feet away. The shield regains 1d4 expended charges daily at dawn. That's cool as heck.
It is pretty cool.
Because it's not like you make a strength check or, you know, it's you just boop them away. They get booped.
God, that is really nice, yeah. Just the guaranteed success stuff. That isn't super common across magic items even, really. Like you don't just like move people without them making saves and stuff usually. That's fun. And it's a cool concept as well, yeah. It's sort of just like big energy field that comes off your whole shield or something as you're running up and shoulder charging. It's a cool premise.
I like it. All right. So next is resistant armor. You got to be a 6th level artificer, and you need a suit of armor. This also requires attunement. While wearing this armor, a creature has resistance to one of the following damage types, which you choose when you infuse the item: acid, cold, fire, force, lightning, necrotic, poison, psychic, radiant, or thunder, which is almost all of the types. There are, one missing? Is there one missing, or is that all of them?
I'm trying to think. I don't see.
I think that's all of them. Yeah. Okay.
It's funny that you can choose force.
Yeah.
It's funny that you can choose psychic.
Yeah, it's really funny you can choose psychic.
Because if you get this and then do the barbarian thing with totem, whatever it's called, the thing that gets you resistant to all types of damage except for psychic, and then you get this, you're resistant to like everything.
Now, I mean, barbarians don't use armor though.
But you could do. Oh yeah, that's a different sub thing. You're right. Maybe. Yeah. Is it no armor at all when you rage, or is it just heavier than?
I think you just can't get your better IAC when you're using armor.
I'll have to
I
look
think
again,
it's just
I don't
behind
remember.
your unarmored AC.
I think you're right. Oh. It might be a fast movement and stuff too, though. But still, that might be worth it to trade that off, honestly.
Right.
But that's kind of cool. That's a tricky layering there or whatever. Being able to grab, just an extra resistance would be pretty fun.
Yeah, absolutely.
Be a Dragonborn and then go something else that gives you resistance and grab one of these too, and then you can suddenly be really dangerous. Or like a Tiefling or a Azamar or something that's already got resistances. You can start to block off some damage types. That's fun.
Yeah. All right.
The next one is Returning Weapon.
This one's really cool.
You infuse it on an item, a simpler martial weapon with the thrown property. This magic weapon grants a +1 bonus to attack and damage rolls made with it, and it returns to the wielder's hand immediately after it's used to make a range attack. So, Boomerang.
Yeah. So I got a question on this.
So I'm wondering if it's my question. Go ahead, though.
So you can attack twice with a weapon, as long as you have a weapon in your offhand, right? Even if you don't have two-weapon fighting, you just take you don't gain a proficiency bonus to it. It's just a straight roll, correct?
So you can spend your bonus action to attack with an offhand weapon.
Yes, that's what I'm referring to. Yeah, referring to. So could you throw a dagger, hit somebody, have the dagger return, catch it in your offhand, and then slice?
It doesn't really matter which hand it's in.
Changing your
dual weapon attack. But
I would argue that changing the hand that a weapon's in, as long as it's light, should be a free action anyway.
Okay.
Like throwing it, getting it, putting it in the other hand, and then throwing it again.
Yeah, it's back in your hand immediately after it's used to make the attack. In my mind, that says whatever you want to do, it's back. It is able to return to your command to where you want it to be. It is effectively a weapon that is always sort of ready right after you make the ranged attack. So to me, that doesn't matter. Yeah, you make 2 thrown attacks with your attack action, and then chuck one with your offhand attack. But in my mind, it doesn't have to. It could just keep going to the same hand or something.
Right? You just keep throwing it and just. Oh man, that's great. Hey, I can chop down a tree from 15 feet away. Watch. The
one like not super great thing about it is that you can't put these infusions on magic weapons. So if you have a cool magic weapon that does like 2d6 cold damage when you hit somebody with it, you can't put that on them.
No,
that is what sort of tapers them off a little bit. It keeps them from being insanely broken. Which the Forge Cleric, I think there's less limits on that. They just don't have as many things like this that they can do to improve things. I could be remembering stuff wrong, but I think they have the ability to just like increase AC by +1 somewhere along the line. But anyway, it's like, if you want the really good stuff, you want a +2, like better than a +2 weapon, you're not going to be able to get infusions to do that, essentially. Anything here that's sort of where it starts to top out, it seems like.
Really, with these infusions, it kind of shows me that if you are in a campaign with a lot of magic items that the DM provides you, this class is a little bit less good than if you're a very magic poor campaign.
Right. Absolutely, I agree with that. Yeah, if everybody's decked out, in magic items, and it's going to be hard for you to find slots to use this stuff on.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, that's when you just pour all of this stuff in, like in
Homunculus.
Homunculus or replicable items that you want specifically, or whatever.
That's a really good point. You can just end up with, an extra bag of holding, or grab a, whatever. Get your wands, get your rings or whatever. That's good stuff, though. Slippers of spider climbing. I would absolutely make those. I love those things. They're not that useful, but they're great, and they're slippers.
Slippers.
Like, they let you walk on walls, and they're slippers. I think it's great.
All right, there's just one more. It is the spell Refueling Ring. You got to be a 6th level Artificer and you gotta have a ring. You gotta attune to it. While wearing this ring, the creature can recover one expended spell slot as an action. The recovered slot can be of 3rd level or lower. Once used, the ring can't be used again until the next dawn. Pretty cool.
That's pretty cool.
Pretty cool.
That's really nice.
Yep.
I mean, it's pretty straightforward.
Yep.
Yeah, and it's not quite as good as a spell storing ring, which would let you put like 3 first levels or, you know, a second and a first. It's got like, it's just one slot that can be up to 3rd level, but it's still like, really, that would, especially for a half caster, that's gonna be really nice to have around, have an extra
absolutely
charge in the bag.
Yeah. All right, well, that is it for the infusions. I think we should go ahead and take our break, and then we will come back, and I think we're gonna jump into the Barbarian. I think it makes sense to keep going through these classes, if that's okay with you guys.
All right. Protest. I want to have a dance party, or I don't know. I'm just trying to.
Oh shit, dude! Dance party.
Dance party. Yep.
Never mind. Dance party.
Dance party. When we come back, we're having a dance party.
This.
Mystery is hosting. All right.
All right, guys.
Yes.
Thank you for coming in, chilling out, hanging out with us, being the cool cats that you are. We do this every Thursday. This is a thing we do every single Thursday, except for last Thursday and the Thursday before. Those don't count.
You know. Those don't count. Every Thursday this year.
Right. So far this year, every single Thursday we've done it. Yep. Actually, that's wrong.
No, 31st was Thursday.
Oh, shit.
Friday was the first. Yep.
I mean, we did check in.
Yep.
But anyway, this table 13, we talk about table 13s. We talk about DM stuff. We talk about games, and we talk about how to run games and the tips and stuff like that. Every once in a while, we interview people. We're trying to get that filled back up and get moving into some new interviews as well. And that's sort of the whole thing here. Every Monday we do Gold for Gold Enterprises, which is a Dungeon World campaign that all of us are in, plus John too. And that is also a weekly event. Every other Friday we put out a podcast called Dragons of Paralandia. The next one will be coming out not this Friday, but the next Friday, and that will be the end of season 2. Everybody, the end of season 2. Yeah, we don't do any other stream stuff yet. If you want to come hang out with us and be friends and stuff, we have a Discord server. It's located below the little window thingy here, and you can show up there. People are watching movies together. People are playing video games together. It's a good old time, on top of all the tabletop games and stuff that are run out of the server. And if you like what we're doing enough to contribute monetarily, you can go to patreon.com/rational radio. I think it's located below as well, and contribute there, or go buy some cool stuff from our store. You can find that link below as well. We sell dice and t-shirts, and there's a hoodie in there. So buy some stuff and you get things.
Good stuff. All right.
Capitalism works.
Yes.
Yeah. Buy stuff and then you get things.
You get things. All right, guys. Well, this has been Table 13. We are going on break. We will be back in 15 minutes. See you then.
Bye.
Bye. And we are back. Hello, everybody. We have finished with the Artificer in Tasha's Cauldron, and we are heading on to the Barbarian class. Just a little overview. Tasha's Cauldron has updated all the other classes. They added Artificer and then threw in some extra stuff for the other classes. I think most of them consist of another subclass, as well as some optional class features that they throw in. So the first one, these are in alphabetical order with, the first letter. So the first one is Barbarian, of course. With that B-A, it's hard to beat. It's really hard to beat.
Oh my god, I hate you.
Right. So I don't need to explain to you guys what a Barbarian is. You know what it is. It's a class. D&D 5e. So you get these optional class features Third level barbarian feature. When you reach third level and again at 10th level, you gain proficiency in one skill of your choice from the skill list available to barbarians at first level. I believe this is something that they put in every class. Is this optional? The ability to gain more skills in your class.
Some of them have things that let you swap, like your fighting style for ranger or fighter. Some of them have slightly different varieties, but it's usually like you can either gain another skill proficiency or something, or you can swap out like spells, or you can do whatever. It's basically just grab you a little more flexibility. It seems like it's a lot of these.
It seems like they're kind of taking like a little bit of a Pathfinder path with these, where you can sort of like, instead of taking this feat, you can instead take this feat, because it looks like or both, depending on how your DM wants to run it. They leave a lot of sort of up in the air. But for barbarian at third level, it looks like you get something. It's primal knowledge. When you reach third level and again at 10th, you gain proficiency in one skill for your choice from the list of skills available at barbarians. Did he really?
Yep.
I totally did not even. I'm sorry.
That's okay. It's all right. We got it both times now.
What I meant to say was
you did well.
I'm sorry. You guys were talking about the skill stuff, but I thought that was just sort of an overall, like, each of them.
No, we circled around.
We did, yeah. But the base idea is the barbarian's version of this kind of modular class building system is represented here in primal knowledge, where you get more skills proficiencies from the barbarian classes. And again, these are optional class features that the DM can choose to use. If your DM is like, we're not using the optional class features from Tasha's Cauldron, you won't be able to use them. But if you're like, hey, can I use these optional class features? And the DM is like, go for it. Then these are things that you get without having to choose from a list. This is just something
these aren't an either or. I think there are some that they bring in that could, that do replace other things, but a lot of these they have also just added additional stuff. Anyway.
So, the next one, next primal feature is Instinctive Pounce. You get it at 7th level. As part of the bonus action, you enter your rage, you can move up to half your speed, which is represented, I suppose, by a pounce, half your speed forward. That's pretty cool. I like that.
Yeah, that makes that bonus action to rage not, kind of just standing there.
Wasted.
Yeah,
rage, exactly.
You get to go at them. That's nice.
Yeah.
It doesn't. Yeah, it's like some of those. It's like it doesn't have like any of the aggressive caveats where you have to like go toward an enemy or anything like that.
Right. You just jump.
It's cool.
So, primal paths are the subclass.
Yeah, that's the
of the barbarians. So, those are just the optional class features. So now we're going into the other primal paths that they've included in Tasha's Cauldron. The first one is Path of the Beast. So I also wanted to point out here too, something that I've noticed in Tasha's Cauldron. I think we've touched on it before too, but a lot of these paths that they include, or I mean not just paths, but subclasses in the other classes, seem to kind of be a way of mixing the classes together. Because here in this Path of the Beast, you are basically getting the ability to wild shape, like a minor wild shape that the druid gets to do. It's not
something like the Transmuter Wizard.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Something like that.
So you get a little bit of druid, nature magic in with the barbarian. I do really like them. The other one that they add is wild magic, and I think that they've done a good job with most of these classes in picking mixtures that still kind of hold true to what the class is supposed to be, while also being interesting to explore as a character.
Well, it's neat because it's kind of like a less intensive way to multi-class.
Right.
It's like a way that you can be. I'm a straight up barbarian. I still get my level 20 barbarian features, but I get a little bit of that magic,
right.
you know,
that
or
nature
whatever.
goodness.
Yeah, you can draw yourself closer to the narrative concept that most people are going to associate with like a druid or a ranger, and like still have the, you know, it's like mechanically you're still like a frontline dude who just swings an axe real good and, you know, does a lot of damage that way, sort of thing. Because at the end of the day, that's most of what you're getting. It's just like another attack kind of thing. Because yeah, looking at it, it's like most of them, honestly, yeah, it's not. If we want to just go, do we want to just go through?
We don't have to go through them like we did the infusions. I don't think that is because a lot of them have a lot of text. But for example, we have Form of the Beast here, which I think is the important part. Is it allows you to transform into when you enter your rage, you transform into kind of like a beast type, like what would you say, like a hybrid, I suppose.
You know, you grow a natural weapon at least.
Right. That's the way to put that mechanically.
But it is, yeah, it's supposed to, thematically, it's along the lines of, yeah, it's shapeshifter, lycanthrope, sort of dealio. You're, you know, of the spirit of an animal or something along those lines.
Aspect of whatever kind of stuff.
And I think it plays into that sort of like the shamanistic vibe that a lot of people will head toward with barbarians, and it allows you to be more than just someone who swings an axe real good or whatever. There's a little more flavor to it than that.
Yeah, and some of these are pretty like striking in terms of like from a role play perspective, because you know barbarians raging can be basically just getting red in the face to yelling, but this, you know, you grow a lashing spiny tail which deals 1d piercing damage on a hit and has a reach property. You know, if some dude I met in a bar is like, "Hi, I'm a barbarian," and then he got mad and grew a fucking tail,
well, I was just gonna say, I don't think this guy would call himself a barbarian. He'd say I'm like a werewolf or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like because raging isn't raging for this. It's it's changing. You know, it's going, and that's, I think, the thing that they're, like we were talking about, is allowing, you know, letting people serve other roles. Is, I think they're also trying to break down those like entrenched narrative concepts of the classes that a lot of people have, the sort of tropey, like if you play this class you have to act this way stuff, or do this kind, you know, this feature obviously has to be represented this way. It's like, we're being really flexible with the fluff here on a lot of these, so you can too, sort of deal. So I like that mentality. That seems to be pretty common across the book. It's good stuff.
It is.
Yeah, it's another one that's like that. But yeah, and that's, I think, the thing though for me, honestly though, this one, it's like only okay. It feels like for a lot of it, like the weapons aren't ones that you're probably gonna end up using a ton. There's the tail one's really interesting and stuff, but a lot of it feels like you kind of got to get down to the later stuff before this it really like shows up or whatever, starts to catch up to some of the more standard barbarian features, where they aren't just kind of more ribbon-esque and really become like, okay, yeah, you can start dealing some pretty sweet damage out of it and stuff like that. But it's a fun one. I think it's a cool concept as well.
It is. Yeah, I like the next one better, in my opinion. The next one is Path of Wild Magic, and I love wild magic as a mechanic, just because both as a DM and as a player. So this gives your barbarian the ability to access wild magic tables in a variety of ways. So like even this magic awareness, as an action you can open your awareness to the presence of concentrated magic until the end of your next turn. You know the location of any spell or magic item within 60 feet of you that isn't behind
total sort cover. Of like a nice little detect magic,
yeah,
like third eye type situation.
Oh, here it is.
Something that you'd have a hard time coming by as a, you know, with a barbarian or whatever, but it gives you that magical sort of intuitive awareness sense thing that would be consistent with a lot of people. I just like the way that they're doing that. It's like, yeah, no, it's not a shamanistic divine thing, it's an arcane thing. Like that's the thing that you're in tune with or whatever, the kind of wild that they're talking about.
This is the one that I thought that magic awareness was. It's the wild surge. The magical energy rolling inside of you sometimes erupts from you when you enter your rage. Roll on the wild magic table to determine the magical effect produced. If the effect requires a saving throw, the DC equals 8 plus your proficiency modifier plus your constitution modifier. Your proficiency bonus plus your constitution modifier. So they give you a wild magic table here. This is on page 26.
Mm-hmm.
So something that I've noticed with this wild magic table is there's no downsides.
Yeah, it's not supposed to be a penalizing one. Like, it's not built like the regular wild magic table. Right. This is like to sort of helpfully augment your rage, basically.
Right.
And it's neat because all of it's kind of just like, how is this, how's this energy, this magical energy manifesting around you when you go into your trance or you freak out or you do whatever that your rage signifies, and it's always different, or at least different most of the time on these different sort of things, and they're pretty good. Like they're not like your hair changes green or you get 3 inches shorter or taller. It's like they're pretty big deal.
Like Misty Step, as or you can teleport to a space within 30 feet. Every turn as a bonus action until the end of your rage or something. Like it's kind of cool. The ability to do that stuff, and it's about the only way you're going to get some of those kinds of magical effects with a character that's raging. Also, just because they know the way that that works. I guess they don't let you do spells while you're raging otherwise.
As a player, I would ask my DM to allow me to roll on a more chaotic chart. More chaotic chart where there would be some major boons and some major downsides as well as some minor positives or minor negatives.
As a DM, I would make at least a D20 chart. Or at least some way to make it to where it's not the same, that it's like almost never the same. Maybe a D100 chart that would take forever to build, but I would 8 options. That's like that's like with the alchemist. You have the unstable concoctions or whatever that you can make. I feel like it's pretty limiting. It's like, okay, well, I've got a 25% chance of getting this one effect. I want it to be something like, I don't know what this is going to do, and that I appreciate tables like that. I've used like I had a table that I'd found somewhere that was just random potion effects, and it was like 100 of them, and it would even more so than that, it would randomize some of the words in those to make them different every time.
Jesus.
So it was like, you never knew what the hell you were going to be drinking, and I really like that kind of like, it's like it's almost like an acting prompt or something, and so this 8 options doesn't make me super happy, but at the same time, like, these are pretty big things, so to come up with 100 of them would be difficult,
Right, and there's the balancing issue. Is if you just use a regular wild magic table, you're going to end up doing wild magic way more than a wild magic sorcerer would even be doing wild magic, because it's not like they roll on a wild magic table every time they cast a spell.
Right.
Yeah, and I think that they're trying to not do the exact same feature.
Right.
Because that's the thing, is if you do that where it's just a huge, exhaustive table of things that are good and bad, that it is just the same thing as a wild magic sorcerer.
Yep.
Their wild magic is a feature. And I think this is supposed to be like part of your whole in tune with it. Like it's the path of wild magic. It's not you not knowing how to control magic. It's that you don't pick the kind of magic that helps you at the time, kind of, is my reading on it, I guess. But I don't know. it's not like that's super semantic or whatever. But to me, yeah, I do think that the what they're going for isn't that same like sort of lack of control necessarily that is like a part of the like wild magic sorcerer thing, where they're just like, I don't know what, like, I try to do this and sometimes this happens or whatever. I feel like that's less what they're intending here, I guess.
And I do want to warn to, I guess, DMs, any DMs who are like, I'm thinking of letting my role players use larger wild magic tables or something like that for this class. Inherently, wild magic tables you find online that aren't like just what they provide, like in these books, can incredibly unbalance encounters or your game or things of that nature. And with this ability, which when you enter your rage, you roll on a wild magic table. With the wild magic sorcerer, you have to roll what, a 20 or
it's a 1 on
it's a 5% of the time.
Right.
Yeah, 5% of the time you cast spells.
And
so it's going to be more than the barbarian raging, but you're not going to get you're going to cast more spells than a barbarian's going to rage per day probably, but
but
you're not going to roll the 1 more times.
No, probably not. And you can't control when you roll that 1. The barbarian can just be like, and now I'm going to rage, and just let the thing happen. And the way that this is written too, I would also worry about the effect of out of combat usage of wild magic, because the way this is written, when you enter your rage, roll on the wild magic table. And so if you pick a bunch of wild magic that is more disruptive to like role play, then you could also end up with a barbarian that is super disruptive to the role play of the group, or super disruptive to NPCs or a setting, because
barbarians raging out of combat, they're not going to be,
that's
it's
true.
Not because they're trying to have a conversation.
This is true, but that's the idea. that's what I'm pointing out, is you don't want to turn your barbarian's rage into just a wild magic switch.
That's fair,
you want them to rage to rage.
You only get X rages per day. I mean,
right, but you don't want them to use those rages just to roll on a large wild magic table and to see if 50 gold coins appear.
I mean, it's not a good idea to waste those rages just to get.
I was gonna say
a magic surge,
especially if it is somebody who's put this big exhaustive list in front of you, because there's no way to determine what one you're going to come up with. So that is what insulates you against some of that risk
until your 14th level, and then you get to do it twice and get 2 effects at once.
Yeah,
right.
And you get to choose which ones.
Wow, that's nice.
Yep.
Oh, it's only 1. You only get to do 1 at a time, but you do get to choose from 2 rolls.
That's pretty nice.
That's pretty cool.
But still, even then, like if you got a D100 table or something, you're not going to be, the odds that you're going to be able to pick 2 that between the 2 that you're going to get the 1 that you were trying to get out of 100 is still pretty low odds. But yeah, I mean, hey,
it's interesting.
I do, yeah. I think I like this better than wild magic. The way they do wild magic with the sorcerer. Honestly.
Cool.
I don't like that you can accidentally murder your whole party by casting fucking calm emotions or something, like totally out of combat, boom, there's a fireball in the middle of your party, not only everyone in your party is dead but everybody else, it's like okay, well, shit.
I'm not a big fan of it being only on a 1. I feel like wild magic sorcerers, like you're not really that wild. It's only doing it 5% of the time,
right?
And so in the past, being a shitty new DM, I changed wild magic sorcerers to where it happened every time you cast a spell.
Yeah, that's insanity.
And that was crazy.
Then you're gonna have fireballs popping up. There are people turning into potted plants left and right, or
Yep.
whatever it is. Which
it just dominates the
can
campaign.
be hilarious, but yeah, it's also just gonna be like,
But
now
it's-
they're just
it's a
gonna cast a
fever
spell to see what happens. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yep. So
Makes it hard to connect the dots when one of your characters is occasionally growing a feather beard or something.
yeah, I have a character right now that has a deck of many things in the campaign, but it is a deck of many things that anytime they draw a card, I load a new list of a deck of many things from it, because so all the cards change in the pack when they pull a card. So I have they have decided to stop drawing cards because of the absolutely insane things that have happened since they got this item. Because at first they were like, "Oh, this is great," and they drew 2 cards, and then they end up naked. They ended up naked. All of their items were removed from them. So then I rolled up another deck of many things, and then rolled on that, and that one caused them to take -1 on all saving throws for the rest of that character's existence. It was like a super curse. And so they just calmly closed the pack of cards and then put it in their inventory and was like, okay, I'm not going to open that anymore.
That's what happens with the deck
Yep.
of many things.
That's
Players
exactly what happens.
Who learn about it, it's either, okay, we'll draw all the cards immediately right now because fuck this campaign, or
it's just at the bottom of the pack, just in case the parties ended up in a TPK, and that's what he said. It's like, if we're all gonna die, I'm just gonna pull 3 cards and see what happens. So yeah, I think a little bit of randomness in a campaign can be good, but it does require the DM to be confident in both their ability to make sure that doesn't ruin the campaign, as well as your role players' ability to take things like that seriously. You don't want a wild magic sorcerer that doesn't care about blowing up everyone around them whenever they... If you really are casting wild magic every time you cast a spell, you would probably be someone who would never want to ever cast magic because you've murdered 16 people in your past, you know? So
that's why people got burned for being witches,
right?
Or, magic, or that is the situation that would have caused people to get burned for being witches or whatever in the fantasy settings. I guess
so
it's a little different.
If you're responsible with it, wild magic can be really cool, especially if you do more tables or explore online table resources for wild magic. But also, it can be pretty bad.
Yeah. Danger.
Yeah, dangerous. It's dangerous. So I think that this wild magic barbarian does have the ability to be like that kind of character where you're like, oh yeah, sure, you can roll on this table, and then halfway through the 3rd session, you're like, oh, this was a bad idea.
Oh god.
Oh boy, this is the 3rd time they've got this crazy spell thing from just going into rage, and it's ruined my encounters, and so.
This is the 5th Tarrasque that they have unleashed upon the world.
Oh man, this is it's like
Tarrasque. His name's Clem, and they're getting upset. Keep running into him.
They're all named Clem.
Yeah. Clem no, there's only one. Tarrasque is like a one. It's like Godzilla.
It's a Godzilla. Godzilla had babies.
Tarrasque kids. All right, well,
baby Godzilla.
We have definitely devolved into just a mush of conversation. It is midnight, so
end up talking about Godzilla monsters here,
right? I mean, that's an excellent segue into talking about Godzilla and 12 Tarrasques named Greg. Clem.
1 through 12.
1 through 2.
Anyway, thanks everybody for joining us. This has been Table 13. We stream every Monday and Thursday. Again, come join our Discord if you're interested in helping us pay the bills. Throw some money at our Patreon, or buy some stuff from our store. Both of those things are linked below. Thank you for coming, and have a wonderful night.
Have a good night. Bye-bye.